Hey everyone, and welcome to the HR Vision podcast. I'm your host, Ivo, and every week I'm going to have a conversation that matters about HR. This week, I have Greg Horn with me again. Welcome, Greg. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here once again.
No problem.
Greg was on the podcast earlier. We were discussing his expertise as a consultant, but today we're going in a different direction. He's our boarding web app product specialist, and we're going to talk about that super important process in HR, which is welcoming your new employees in a way that they feel part of the team from day one and increasing your chances of retaining them. So we're going to talk a lot about the solution, what we can, what are the functionalities in there that can help you with that process. So, Greg, you ready? Let's get to it?
Yes, let's get to it.
All right, good. We have a strong partnership with Microsoft, right? So starting with Dynamics HR, it's going to be Dynamics Finance and Operations. What can you tell us about Microsoft's boarding functionalities in terms of the HR app?
Yeah, a little bit of history. Microsoft used to have their own applicant tracking system into boarding with Microsoft Attract. Microsoft decided a few years back to go another direction. So the functionality currently in the solution is what are called checklists. So you can set up onboarding, offboarding, transition checklists in Dynamics 365 HR and be able to set up basically it's an electronic task list. It has a little bit more functionality than just yes, the person did it, they know they didn't. You can actually have it navigate to external websites. It can launch different screens inside Dynamics HR. So if you're onboarding an employee, it can go to the hire worker process, or maybe you need to set up a screening for the individual. It can go to that to be able to record that for that onboarding employee. But that's basically where the Microsoft functionality stops. We developed our boarding application to be able to be an enhancement to that, as all of our, I think the general feeling with all of our web apps is, an extension to what Microsoft does, not try to replace what Microsoft does.
Yeah, exactly. It adds, extends the functionality, right? That's where basically we come in. So going to that, you, like I mentioned before, you are a boarding product specialist. So let's say listeners don't know the web app. What can they expect from it?
Yeah, so taking off from that, and important to know that you don't need to reset up any data in the system. All of the information that is in if you're utilizing Dynamics 365 HR is in the Dynamics 365 HR solution and synchronizes to our boarding web app. I would say the biggest difference with our boarding application is it allows you to be able to add a lot more graphical content and make the onboarding process a lot more, I guess maybe I'd say professional looking.
And maybe approachable as well, like more relatable, not too robotic, I guess.
Yeah, so you're able, I think the boarding process just overall is a key piece of a hire to retire cycle. It's the person that's coming on board's first impression of the organization, and if things don't happen. They don't get their cell phone, or they don't have email. They don't know who to go to for questions and in contacts. That information, you start that employee off in a bad, a not so great spot. They don't have a great feeling about, hey, what the heck did I really get myself into here? So what our boarding app allows you to be able to do, and it works for transitions. So if an employee's moving from one position to another, or I have a customer that I'm working with for long-term leaves, individuals are off, and to be able to help incorporate them back into the corporate culture, they're using boarding guides to be able to help that, not new boarding, but kind of a reboarding of the individual, or offboarding as well. And it allows you to be able to set up kind of standardize your processes, depending upon whether it's by region. There might be some different things that might need to happen for that employee based on the region, or based upon the type of employee they are. Maybe they're a normal salaried worker versus an executive. And key to making sure that all of those, the employee feels comfortable in their process, and also that there aren't any missteps, that things that we needed to have happen get missed. And the customers I've worked with, they're working with Word docs and Excel spreadsheets, and people are having their own checklists, and inevitably stuff gets missed. And being able to not only create those guides from templates, send them out to individuals where they have their own onboarding portal to be able to see what things they need to accomplish, who they contact if they've got questions, and also for the managers to be able to see where they are in those different steps. I think process. Are really key. And I've gotten a lot of very good feedback from customers and their onboarding employees to be really enhancing their experience. And I think that really can set those individuals to a much easier process and a better feeling for the working for the organization overall.
No, I definitely understand that. From what you said, I also get the feeling that this is not a closed loop, the web app. What I mean by that is you don't need to be inside the company already to see all this. So you can actually share already like some activities or the onboarding guide through the portal to someone to their private email. So a new hire can already see what it's going to look like, what he's going to do. He can already read some documents even before he or she joins. That's true, right?
Yep. Yeah. When you create your boarding guide, you can use an individual's personal email address, or if they already have a corporate one set up. Then when the guide, utilizing that template, you can modify the template to the different activities that need to happen, who the contacts are, attachments that, if there's maybe a form that they need to fill out, you can attach that to the boarding guide. It will get sent to them. You can define a email template. So again, standardization to when it goes out, that the detail that you want the individual to be able to see, correct welcome message gets sent. The individual gets that in their email, be it personal or corporate. There's a link in there to go to the boarding guide portal. They log in. You can set. You've got some controllable security in there as well, to whether the company sets the password, whether the individual sets the password. They log in, maintain their onboarding activities, and as soon as the individual is maybe uploading a document that's required, that's immediately seen back in for the managers, be it one or more managers of the boarding guides for those employees, so they're able to see status. You set due dates, so there's some color coding dashboarding to be able to see, we need to have this by Friday, and it's Wednesday, and we don't have this already. So
yeah, I think that what you mentioned about uploading documents, because I see that a lot of times. Before you join, sometimes you need to, I don't know, to provide your passport copy or your bank number copy or something like that. That's also possible from a personal email. You can enter that boarding portal and upload those documents even before you join, so the process goes smoother, right?
Right. And one of the keys, in that personal experience for the individual, then once they get a email, they're able, we can then convert that over to their corporate email once they've received that. And then also, we're looking to enhance the integrations, because typically we don't offer an applicant tracking system, but we have partners that do. So a lot in what our customers are saying is, hey, I've got a lot of this information about that individual already in our applicant tracking system. Can we interface that with Dynamics 360 to eliminate data entry? Yeah. Can we interface that with boarding, or can we interface that with HR and then send out boarding guides from that, and working through that loop to again eliminate the data entry as we're going through that onboarding process.
Okay, that's interesting. Besides setting up activities, those templates, those guide templates, the access to the portal, the fact that you can standardize the process, there are other functionalities that, talking with customers, that you figure out that they are really happy with, they're really interesting for them?
Yeah, the document attachment capabilities that we discussed are really really nice, because typically with an onboarding process, documents are going to need to be sent W4, W4s, I9s, even tracking of things like screenings. Company might have a policy to do a drug screening, or
records.
Yep,
for example.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to track that process. Sending out the nice thing too is these activities are not just static. You need to do this. You need to meet with your manager. You can send out multimedia content, be it from YouTube or Vimeo, to be able to enhance that experience. A customer I have is already a large catalog of welcome to our organization videos. So in their onboarding guides, that's one of the activities that the individual can watch a video, or could be a Microsoft Stream if you want to have them attend a class, or maybe there's
something.
Maybe you're hiring a lot of maybe you're hiring 10, 20 people at a time, and you want to do an online, webcast that is an onboarding session. So you could attach a stream, or even a Power App. I had one customer that was, we actually created a Power App to kind of walk them through a questionnaire, and the questionnaire was basically, how was your onboarding experience, and some different questions around that. You could even have like a not training, but a kind of quiz knowledge. Being able to gather knowledge about them, how well they know what they're being hired on for. So there's a lot of, and those are some of the advantages I think that we saw were gaps in the HR checklist functionality that we talked about and enhanced when it came to our web app. And we're constantly looking to add additional things as well, like ability to be able to integrate document signing. That's something I've gotten asked multiple times. For individuals, or like an offer letter, and typically a lot of ATS solutions do have that kind of capability. So customers could still use that, but we're definitely looking into being able to send documents and electronically sign them straight to our boarding application.
Interesting, super interesting. A lot of cool functionalities already, and the work never stops. So it's just going to get better. Yep. So going a bit back, of course, you said that we started developing it, or basically, it came about because Microsoft used to have an ATS, used to have kind of a boarding, a talent boarding app. They stopped doing it. Is there? Do you know if there is a reason for that? Do you think there's a possibility that Microsoft goes back to it, or just they're just happy with all the partners and what the partners have created to support those gaps or to fill those gaps?
I haven't heard anything that would be something. And there's one, to be honest, I never really heard exactly why they did that. It was a good functioning app, but ours is it has a lot of similarities to that application with some definite enhancements, and looking to take it further. I think maybe part of it is just, having worked for Microsoft directly, Microsoft is always very steadfast in their vision that they are a partner-driven organization. Yeah. And, maybe they just felt that they want to focus more on the core HR functionality versus other solutions like applicant tracking or being able, the onboarding process. And we worked so closely with Microsoft. We knew it was coming, and decided that, hey, here's an avenue for an opportunity for us to be able to enhance what the current solution does.
Definitely. All right. Let's say that a company wants to implement this web app. Can you run us through what is required to set it up? You just need the core HR. How does it work? And does it allow different integrations besides, of course, Dynamics?
Yeah, and this is probably standard for our normal, FourVision implementation process is, we need to gather the requirements. What's your typical, business process? What documents do you capture? What steps do you need to handle? Is it strictly in one functionality I think mentioned before that just came to mind was not only can the boarding process help standardize that in onboarding employees' activities, but you also have the ability to attach in tasks for current employees. Yeah. So you can attach and send alerts to individuals that when Greg Horn is onboarding, that we need to have IT issue them a security card to be able to enter the building. They need to get them a phone, need to get them a laptop, and be able to track them, make sure that, and those are individuals, not activities for that onboarding employee, but be able to track the task for those people. So, a basic, and we go through workshops to be able to understand what the customer is doing now. What would they like to do? And seeing the application, a bunch of ideas pop in their heads, and then take all of that, incorporate it, then set it up and design it in the boarding application, and then do a kind of show and tell to say, here's what it is, how does this look, train them, and then what I've even seen is customers will take it from there and add stuff. One of my customers just went live on boarding, and I showed them stuff, and a couple weeks later went in, and they've really enhanced it and taken their own learning to be able to really take it to the next step.
Yeah, I think that also shows like how easy it is to use, right? Because if they can in a couple of weeks already do a lot with it, it really shows. It's not only because, of course, we are selling it, we are developing it, but it's a proof. If a customer actually use it that fast, that well, it shows that it's very easy to use, right?
Yeah. For sure. That was one of the things before we started chatting I was thinking about, is that amongst all of our the web apps that we produce and implement, it is very easy, not to make it seem too simplistic or basic, but there aren't a lot of areas that you really have to dive deep into, but not to say that it's not very valuable customer. We have been getting very good feedback on the application to be able to then take it to the next level.
Awesome. Just one thing, still referring to that question, maybe we didn't touch that point. Does it integrates seamlessly, of course, with Dynamics 365 HR? Does it allow other integration or combinations with other apps that maybe ATS that the customer is using? How does it work with integrations?
We're working with our partners to be able to. There's the native we've set up with Dynamics as you discussed, but other partners that we have, or we have the ability in our development framework even to look to ones that customer, we're not even aware of. That current customer I was talking about, we're currently working with them and to develop and work with the APIs that ATS solution that they're using has, to be able to integrate and discuss. Does it make more sense for us to do that integration from their applicant tracking system to HR and then to boarding, or to boarding and then to into Dynamics HR.
Okay, all right. Not getting too much into technical details, but regarding data and data security, what can you tell us about it? It doesn't create any duplicates, I guess, of course, but how does it handle data?
Yeah, the data is stored in Azure. Typically, it used to be we're housing in a Microsoft data center, but now it's in customers' environments, which still is Microsoft as well. And you can go out and look to Microsoft's security. It's world class, and not only just in security, making sure that people don't have access to data. Our solutions are role based, so the data that you have access is controlled not only inside the security framework of D365 HR, which comes over to our web app, but inside the web app as well.
Okay, cool. Just one more thing related to that. When you do an update onboarding, upload something, a document or something, those documents are stored only on the boarding web app. If the customer has, for example, document management web app as well, for example, we provide one. Is that also going directly to that? Does it take a lot of time? How that process works?
No, yeah. If the standard without document management, it stores it in the same Azure. I think if I remember right, blob storage. That any of the other data through boarding is created. If you're using our document management web app, you then have the ability to have some more control over where the documents are housed.
Okay.
Another feature that we've talked about potentially is the ability for any documents that might be interchanged with that employee to then maybe even be able to be visible inside HR. So when you go onto the employee record, that you would actually be able to see that filled out I-9 or W-4 or other documents that might be signed. So that's something that's I've been talking with Peter and our development team about potentially adding that, as well as I talked about the document signature capability.
Okay, cool. Yeah, last but not least, let's look a bit into the future of the boarding app. You already talked about some of those, the DocuSign capability, being able to report the data updates or the documents updates back to HR. Is there any other capabilities that you see in the future that we will probably work on the boarding app?
Yeah. I think those are the biggest ones. We're constantly looking, as well, to feedback from our customers of what things that they would want to see. I would also maybe foresee something where there's maybe a little tighter integration with maybe those background check providers that you could maybe embed. You can embed websites in the activities, but maybe a little more seamless. So if individuals got to go out and do a background check, that's more seamlessly integrated into the activities that they need to complete. It would something kind of off the top of my head, some of the things, but yeah, we working with customers closely too. I think that's really key to be able to make sure that they're using it on a daily basis. And
yeah,
I think they've got the best vision into what we should be putting into the solution.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any other functionalities that you see coming possibly in the future?
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I just thought of one. I saw and it was one of my coworkers who had shown it to me. Was a Power App, and I'm pretty sure that Microsoft had created, and it was equipment acquisition, which would typically be a part of a person's onboarding process to pick their laptop. And the Power App actually had the pictures of select your computer, and you could see all the different options of laptop that the individual would pick from. So they select that, and then here are your different phone options, and select that. So that's something that could as an idea. I'm sure it was something that they thought of as something that people might be interested in kind of trying to incorporate in that kind of employee self-service feature set, and being able to then assist the IT team, which would typically have to do that process, and if it's more of an automated with pictures and everything else, that graphical experience would probably give that individual much more comfort, a little more comfort feel when they're coming on board.
Yeah, and it sounds kind of cool, right? That you can choose.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Being a technology guy, I love. I think I'm like, oh man, that's kind of cool with all the picture. You can pick from the pictures, and it'll then send IT to alert them that the individual has selected their equipment. And I think it would also, for the employee, would make them feel more, not being told here's what it is, involvement in the process as well, and kind of building that teamwork.
Yeah, and funny that you mentioned as well the alerts, because I thought maybe another thing that we could integrate, I don't know if it's integrated already, is like email notifications. Imagine that you have an activity that needs someone to review it or someone to do something about it, kind of generating an email notification. I don't know if that's in place already, or it can be an idea also to do.
It already is. Whether the employee, as I think we talked about a little earlier, gets the onboarding guide, their notification that they have an onboarding guide to go to the portal is an email, and then from there they're managing their tasks. If items are getting close to due date, the onboarding employee is warned about that. If the customer is utilizing the task functionality that we talked about, the tasks are not for the onboarding employee, but for the existing employees. Those folks, those people are notified through employee self-service in HR. Then they can also be in either or, being able to be notified through email, and that email gives them a link, and the link is to the boarding application to be able to update and complete whatever task that existing employee needs to execute for the onboarding employee.
Cool. Fascinating stuff. So I think it's a good way to end this episode. Greg, thank you again for coming in once again. It's always nice talking to you. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, Greg, have a good one. And people
Thanks.
Listening out there, we'll see you next time.